What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Canon, where we bring you the latest in the cinematic world of superheroes and comic books. I want to introduce my partner today, Sal. Sal, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Terry almost just died of dehydration.
I'm alive, and I'm your host today, Terry. Alright, so for our first bit of news, we have Deadpool. What else is there to talk about? We've had a review of Deadpool that you can find on the channel, but also in the news is the money that it's making, and it's making a lot of it. So we're talking about 60 to 70 million was the range that people expected this movie to make, and that would have been a big win for the movie. But Deadpool finished with an opening weekend of $135 million. And a 4-day weekend, since we had President's Day off, with $150 million. So to put that into a little bit of context, X-Men Days of Future Past finished with about 90 million on opening weekend. And then the original Avengers finished with a little bit over 200 million for their opening weekend. So Sal, what do you think about the numbers Deadpool is doing, and what do you think this means for the future of R-rated movies?
Well, I think it is well deserved that it made this much money. I think this again was, I go back to it, like 15 years in the making for some people involved. But one thing I was reading, and I hope that it doesn't come true, is that the big movie industry people will take this and run with it in the wrong direction. Back when 3D came out, it worked really well for the first couple of films. I think maybe Avatar was one of the first really big ones, and it was 3D. And then from then on out, every movie that came out for the next 2 to 3 years was 3D, which
3D.
90% of them did not need to be 3D. So the audience smartened up, and they didn't buy the 3D ticket. So you haven't seen 3D in a lot of movies for the last couple of years. So I hope if the movie industry does go that direction, that the fans will speak out, and they'll realize that not every movie has to break the fourth wall or be raunchy or be R-rated. I know with Fox, Wolverine is in talks about being R-rated. I'm not sure how serious that is, but I can kind of see it going both ways, just because Wolverine, his last solo movies have not been up to par. So maybe the changing of rating and content within the movie will kind of save this last one for Hugh Jackman. But at the same token, I don't want them to make it R-rated if it doesn't have to be. I don't want them just to put it in just because they think they can, and just because Deadpool did well, that Wolverine's going to do good. It's not the case. So I'm interested to see where especially Fox goes in the direction.
Yeah, I think this movie making this much money is direct correlation to the marketing. Everybody's talked about the marketing campaign Deadpool's had. It's one of a kind. It's spread across all type of social media and different media platforms. You had people going out to see this movie that probably would not have gone to see it. The hardcore fans is always a small percent of the movie going audience, and especially with a character like this that isn't as big, you have to really reach out to a different demographic. So, reaching out, I saw, like I talked about the review, like there were older couples there. I've seen, of course, young kids that want to go see the rated R movie. You had women, men, all type of races. It really just reached across everybody, and this was resulted at making like gigantic types of money. But as far as the R rating, I did. When we were talking earlier, I was like, I want to see how an R-rated movie does, and it's like anything. If the money's there, then people are going to copycat and try to do it. I think it's a vicious circle, because so many people expect the studios to jump on the bandwagon, and no one has officially done that. But everyone's preemptive striking and writing about it, and they're gonna try to make this movie. I hope they don't make this rated R. So now the conversation started, and so it's just a vicious cycle where like we're gonna be talking about it until they announce it, and then once they announce it, we're going to keep talking about it. And it's just like
they're gonna hate it.
It's just it is what it is. I hope studios aren't that blind. I think with Wolverine is the one a lot of people talking about because it's coming out. The gore, it could be rated R.
Yeah.
It could be rated R just off that alone. There's a difference between, you know, pushing the boundaries of your character and just making everyone break the fourth wall, make dirty jokes, and, you know, gore, because, you know, there's a difference between those. So any movie can be done well if it's executed well. But yeah, I just hope no one tries to recreate Deadpool, because it won't work.
Yeah, definitely not.
Next up, we have the most devastating news I've ever heard in my life. Last week, we had some rumors floating about Warner Brothers and DC and the Batman vs. Superman project. So, Drew McWeeny from HitFix was interviewed, in which he has some thoughts to say about his inside sources at Warner Brothers, saying Warner is a little bit worried. This movie is starting to scare them. And it's scaring them because they're showing it to people now. People are actually laying eyes on the film, and the response has not been exactly what I think they wanted. I would be surprised if Justice League starts shooting when they say it's going to. I would be equally surprised if Zack Snyder directed it. My guess, what is going to happen is that Justice League is going to get moved back, and that Ben Affleck Batman movie, that's going to be what ends up in that spot. McWeeny also went on to say some other different things, including that Ben Affleck Batman was really good and that Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was great. So Sal, we've been talking about this for a little bit.
Yeah.
We've heard this report. We had some other reports come out since then. We've been back and forth off camera about this. What are your thoughts about these comments?
Well, to be honest, I had an epiphany this morning. I really did. I was watching the last trailer from the Batman Superman, the last one, the newest one, and I thought to myself, we're getting this movie anyways. Like, this is gonna be awesome. I mean, regardless of whether it sets up Justice League or it doesn't, or in the right way, I guess. That's something to think about after the movie. I don't want to think about all of this for the next month and a half. And if you really think about it, if Justice League gets moved, it's gonna, Batman solo film is gonna take its place. So I think it's a win-win situation if that's the case. I mean, you hit Justice League move down the line to be done correctly, and if you think about that, it will be better than it was gonna be. So you get a better Justice League Part 1. In that spot, you have that solo Batman film. We are getting that earlier than we, thought. And the rumors for that is Death in a Family story arc. So you're gonna get a Ben Affleck directed Batman and a better Justice League Part 1. So, even if that is the case, I'm not, gonna be totally upset about it. I mean, you have all these people reporting that, these rumors and stuff, and I think a lot of it is just to get hits on their articles. I mean, I know this guy says he's close to the sources, and he could be, but I know you were telling me about another, rumor behind the scenes. So, just overall, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just gonna enjoy the hype that there is for the next month and a half, and hopefully enjoy the movie just as much. So, what about you?
I wish I had Sal's optimistic, utopian view on life, but this rumor broke me down pretty hard. I was very devastated, but it's the issue is something that I've said from the very beginning, that I said when we first started the canon. This movie has to be good in order for the rest of the DCU to continue. This is like the most pivotal one. This one has all the pressure. And it went up and down as far as marketing. We all know that roller coaster. But it seemed like we ended on a good note. And then not too long after that, to hear this, it was very unsettling. And it's just because I know that's exactly how studios think. Yeah. That's how big business thinks. So it wasn't kind of out of left field for me. It sounded on par with what executives would say, if indeed they felt this way about the movie. And McWeeny also talked, kind of about the whole movie slate being shifted and changed and everything. and so there's problems with that. I mean, we went back and forth. We kind of said, well, it didn't originally come from me, but online people were saying, the studio execs are involved the whole way through. If they saw a problem, then they would have changed it already. And it's not necessarily that they saw a problem with it. It's that people that are watching it saw a problem. So kind of going into what I was telling you earlier, I was reading another report from, whoever, and they were talking about their sources have the same thought that Warner Bros. Is worried, but not because of quality.
Yeah.
They're worried because they feel this movie isn't the popcorn Marvel style summer flick that people are used to in the superhero genre.
Yeah.
And they're worried that people won't be able to grasp the deeper story.
That's a good problem to have.
It is. It made me feel a lot better because initially when I heard this McWeenie thing, it sounded like Fantastic Four to me. Yeah. And I was just like, because not only was he saying this movie worries them, he was saying Zack Snyder, he doesn't think he's going to be back. So I just started to figure, like, did they, like, change something that Zack did? Or, and that's worst case scenario Fantastic Four. But we see how bad it can, go down if studios change stuff up. So it's a breath of fresh air to hear that the quality's good. They're just worried about how people are going to receive it. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, I definitely think it's wait and see. But I don't know. It's so I guess one question or a couple questions to ask. First one, do you think just Justice League would be affected, or do you really think not if it bombed, but if it need for change? Do you think they would go further past Justice League and maybe take out Green Lantern and Cyborg or whatever?
That's a tough question. I want to say they would only move Justice League around, and I don't think they would take anything out. And Justice League I feel is their end game. I mean, that's the 1 and 2. That's what they're working towards. So I think some things would get changed in terms of the other solo films. Nothing major, maybe just within the story or within how they produce it. But nothing major. I can't see. I just cannot see them changing this slate that they've announced too much than they already have. Well, they really haven't changed it, but if they do change it, I cannot see them changing it for drastic measures. So, yeah.
And then Ben Affleck directing Justice League instead of Zack Snyder. Would you be for that? Do you think it's possible? Because that's kind of what everybody's buzzing about now.
I mean, I have total confidence in Ben Affleck as a director and a writer and an actor, the trifecta. But if he's already doing the solo Batman films, I don't know. Maybe, definitely in some capacity, I would like him in Justice League as well. But, I believe in Snyder. I've never really doubted him. I liked Man of Steel. Things definitely could have been changed about it, but I don't think that was 100% on him. So, if this movie turns out to be as good as I hope it is, I don't have a problem with him doing Justice League because he has a vision, and I think... they know what that vision is, and from moving forward, you can only go up, I think. So,
yeah, Snyder not taking over, but taking a back seat. I don't know if I mind it too much. Snyder's just, his track record isn't always there, at least for me, with his movies, and I think he brings a nice stylistic approach to it. Mm-hmm. But I was never in favor of having a director kind of be the creative head. Because Feige, they have the exec over there at Marvel. Kevin Tsujihara is kind of the exec at Warner Brothers, but they kind of gave Snyder, the control to kind of run it. And same thing with Fox, they have Bryan Singer's kind of running the X-Men thing. And I just think asking a director to like streamline all the movies and be the big creative vision, I think that's just too much to ask of them. I think you need someone with business sense as well as a fanboy sense, so they can connect the things that make sense business wise and still be true to the fans. Yeah, because Zack Snyder has been known as a purist, and that can be seen in his Watchmen movie. and especially the director's cut is like almost 5 hours, I think, or something like that, where it's just like beat for beat ripped out of the comic book page. And it's fun as a fan to have that guy on board, but for him to be the creative head, it makes sense to me that this news came out, because Warner Bros. Like, okay, wait a minute, this movie's a little bit too, comic book.
It might not work for other directors or other writers on other solo films in the slate.
Yeah, so the tone he set might just have been too literal and not enough fun. And that's tough. I think it's good to be different than Marvel, but if it was like a little too one tone, I wouldn't be surprised, because Snyder is kind of pure in his comic book love.
And that's the show. I think we took up all the time.
Please, DC, don't ruin this. Alright, so next up we have Star Wars news. Episode 8 is officially underway, starting out earlier this week. Along with this, we have a cast list of new members, including Benicio del Toro, Laura Dern, and Kelly Marie Tran. Sal, what do you think about these new members, and also the little teaser we got of the first shot?
The teaser, it was a teaser. it was definitely a teaser. But it was cool the way they did it with after the shot of Rey and Luke, how they cut to the actual production of it and said, "Welcome to episode 8." And so that was pretty cool. There's nothing new in terms of the footage. So I think we're going to get a lot more over the next, obviously, year and a half. Damn it, December 2017. But anyways, in terms of the actors, Benicio del Toro, I think he's one of the greatest actors of our generation. I really do. He, any character he plays, he really likes to dive into it. We saw it in Guardians of the Galaxy. Even the Collector is a very small part in that movie, but he brought his own take to it, and he is a very memorable character in that movie. So I'm very excited for him. I'm a very big fan of his. So, I don't know. We don't really know who they might play. I want to say it's a villain, because that would be the best option in my opinion. So we'll see. I think he's gonna bring something weird to it. He might be CGI like Andy Serkis. You don't know. So, but either way, I like his acting. Laura Dern, she was definitely known for Jurassic Park, but she is a seasoned veteran, so whatever she plays, I'm sure will be fine. One funny thing I didn't know she was in was Drunk History on Comedy Central. I don't know if you watched it. She did a pretty good, she acted really well in that. It was really funny. So I think she's pretty well versed in anything she wants to do. If she's a villain too, I think she'd do really good. She just has that bitch face to be nice, but it's a good thing. In terms of Kelly Marie Tran, I don't know anything about her. I didn't know anything about her before this.
Yeah, YouTube sensation.
Yeah, so I'll have to look her up, see what she does. But yeah, so these I think any casting for Star Wars is going to be fine. I think Disney knows what they're doing. And I like that they're diversifying the actors a lot more, obviously, than any of the other trilogies. So, excited to see where this goes and what actors or what characters they will be playing.
A lot of people have immediately speculated that Dern would be Rey's mother. Okay. Do you see that?
I don't know. Does she have a British accent?
I don't believe she does, but sure, she's an actor.
Yeah,
she
exactly.
can figure it out.
So yeah, anything could happen. I don't know. If Obi-Wan and her got busy with it between the last trilogy, but I guess she looks like the motherly type, but she could be a bad mother and be a villain still. So I don't know why.
Selling this villain.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's now time for one of our segments called Keep It or Sweep It. First up in the news is Adam McKay speaking with Nerdist in an interview in his involvement on Ant-Man 2, in which he had to say, "We've been talking to Marvel actually. We just talked to them the other day, and it looks like I will be involved. I don't know if it's going to be right from page 1, but it looks like I will definitely be involved. there you go. There's a little headline for the fanboys.
I think he's being a little racist there. So, go ahead, yeah.
Fanboy Sal, what do you think of these comments? Do you keep it or sweep it?
Keep it. I don't see why he wouldn't be on again. I think it was more so just with scheduling. I mean, he just did The Big Short, but I mean, he's off that now. So yeah, there's not much to go on. I mean, he did, I think on the first Ant-Man he took over the rewrites. So I think they're gonna have him in the same capacity, probably after one or two of the drafts of the first script. So yeah, I think keeping with the same tone and the same comedy that he brought to the first one is definitely a good choice. I think Ant-Man's success really took off on the comedy aspect of it, kind of like Guardians did too. But it was fine any other way. So I think him staying is a keep.
Yes, I keep it as well. I think it's a lot bigger win for Marvel than some people realize. Like you said, scheduling was most likely the reason he wouldn't be able to do it. But I think not having Adam McKay's voice in this movie just really would have showed up on screen. The comedy and the style was a direct result of McKay and Paul Rudd collaborating on the writing. And so while Rudd was coming back, not having McKay, I think, would have lacked a certain something. And McKay, he did The Big Short, which is being critically received right now. Of course, he wrote so many hilarious movies with Will Ferrell, and so it would be a big loss not to have him on this. So he'll be able to come back. It'll be rated R, and he'll be able to start writing all these Deadpool jokes, and they get Ant-Man cutting people's head off, and it'll be good.
Some mini sex in there with the wasp too.
Mini sex.
This is a rated R version of this show now.
We sold out. We went rated R. Next up, we have Spawn creator Todd McFarlane speaking to comicbooks.com about the new reboot, saying, "I put it more into the horror, suspense, supernatural genre. If you take the movie The Departed meets Paranormal Activity, something like that. In the background, there's this thing moving around, this boogeyman. That boogeyman just happens to be something that you and I intellectually know is Spawn. Will he look like he did in the first movie? No. Will he have a supervillain he fights? No. He's going to be a specter, the ghost." Sal, do you keep or sweep the description of this new Spawn reboot?
I definitely keep it. I don't even remember the first Spawn too well. I think it was a little bit early in my childhood to be watching that. And I
watched it.
Well, I didn't. And but no, I did watch some of it, and I've looked back after we figured that we were going to be reporting on this. I definitely like that he's making it something that's not a superhero movie. Mm-hmm. He knows that superhero movies are bogging down, in a good way for me at least, are bogging down the movie industry. And Spawn isn't so much a hero as he is an anti-hero, I think, in some ways. But I like that it's not going to be, here's a supervillain from hell that he's going to fight and save the world. So I think he was talking about too that it's going to be real life drama. The only thing that's not of this world is Spawn. So it's going to be real life problems. He's going to have to pay his bills. No, I'm kidding. He doesn't have to do anything. But in terms of drama, I think it's going to be different from any other superhero movie we've been seeing for the last few years. He's had this idea for this specific movie for the last 10 years, I think he said. And he just finished the script. So I'm excited to see who picks it up. I believe we were talking about Warner Brothers has the right to New Line Cinema, who made the first movie. So I don't know if they still have the rights to make the movie. But I mean, if anyone's gonna make it, I think Warner Brothers is fine for making it because they're trying to go with a darker tone in their DC movies too. But yeah, I like that it's not gonna be a regular cut and dry. Here's the superhero, here's the villain, and he saves the day. it's going to be more of a Spawn as, like he said, a boogeyman in the background. So I don't know if he's going to terrorize some regular people or what's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to see. I'll probably go see it.
Yeah, I like the part you said. I saw that too, where he said it's going to be the real world. The only thing that sticks out is Spawn, and so that intrigues me. But I have to sweep this off the mat, off the floor, and this is the difference in 1 year of age I see, because I watched Spawn, and I love the way they did it. It was not a great movie.
No, but he looked really cool.
Yes,
I'll tell you that. For 97 too.
Right.
He looked really good.
This was a CGI filled ambitious movie in a time where CGI did not have, the capabilities.
Yeah.
And it looked better than the prequels, I would say, for what it had, or the Star Wars prequels, for people who know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because that had a lot of CGI, and it just didn't work out. This had a lot of CGI. It doesn't hold up, but at the time, for what they had, come on. Spawn looked great. Michael Jai White as Spawn, come on.
Yeah.
John Leguizamo's that clown-like demon was scary.
Yeah,
and
I was
funny
watching the preview right now,
freaky.
and I was like, oh.
It was just he was... I sweep it just because I liked what they were doing with that. If you wanted to revamp it, polish it up a little, I'm fine. But trying to take it in a different direction, I guess I would have to actually see what it looks like with no villain, no nothing, just him in the shadows doing what? I don't know, what I mean?
That's one thing. But I mean, he said 10 years in the making. I think he knows what he's trying to set out to do. So.
And I'm not disagreeing that, he's a creator. He probably knows what's best for Spawn. I just, for my personal taste, this doesn't get me excited. Interesting that they even reboot, and I didn't even really know that they were going to do that. So, I mean, it's just a script at this point. Who's directing, who's starring, that's going to be probably the bigger questions. But as far as these comments, I just have to sweep it. I mean, what is this? Monsters Inc. meets Ghost Rider. Like, what are these movie descriptions he just gave us? Come on now.
Yeah. But, Screw
it. So last up, we have Paramount giving Transformers a new release schedule in which Transformers 5, 6, and 7 will be coming out 1 year after the other. 2017, 2018, 2019, Michael Bay in your face. Also, Transformers 6 is reported as being a low-budget Bumblebee spinoff. So Sal, do you keep or sweep the idea that Transformers needs to come out every year?
I sweep that. I mean, I've never even seen the other ones, to be honest. I saw parts of them, but how much more can you make? I love Transformers when they were like on TV. I remember my best Christmas gift was a box of Transformer action figures, but it was also the worst one because you didn't know how the hell to put them together. So I didn't know. But I don't know. I'm very opinionated on Michael Bay. I don't know. Maybe they'll get another director. I don't know.
Well, Bay actually said that the fifth one will be his last. We don't know if that's true, but that's what he said.
Then why are you gonna make a fifth one? Then 6 and 7 are gonna be totally different.
Yeah.
Like, why are you gonna do that? So I'm definitely sweeping that. In terms of low budget Bumblebee, why are you gonna make a low budget CGI heavy movie? It's gonna be horrible.
Because it's gonna be rated R. It's gonna be dirty jokes and car sex.
Bumblebees, car sex. So low budgets. That's something on as heavy CGI as Transformers is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. So I hope this gets swept under the rug for the rest of eternity. And what about you?
I'm going to sweep it also. I dislike everybody's plan of coming out 1 year after the other.
Yeah.
I talked about that to you about Star Wars. It's like the buzz that you create, I'm not saying wait 15 years, but the buzz that you got was a product of how long you waited and, a bunch of other factors, but mainly it's that build-up of excitement. I haven't seen this in forever. And yes, we want to know the story and everything, but, I feel like there's going to be Star Wars fatigue and Transformers fatigue and whoever else wants to, get a schedule where it's year after year after year. I think the slates that we get from Marvel, DC, stuff like that, especially Marvel and DC, is fine because each year is someone different. You know what I mean? It's solo movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Star Wars is Star Wars. Yeah, the anthology movies are kind of solo-ish, but it's still characters that we've already seen and have background on. So it's just like Star Wars on Star Wars, Transformers on Transformers. It's too much. As far as the Bumblebee spinoff, I think it makes sense. When I hear lower budget, I just mean you don't have to create CGI for all these characters and fill it up with all these Transformers. It's just more focused on him. With that being said, that's a dumb idea. Why do I want to watch? Like, and Bumblebee doesn't even talk. Like, what am I supposed to watch him do? Like, it's,
drive around.
Yeah, it's,
have sex.
and cut people's head off and break the fourth wall. But yeah, I have to sweep it, and I just hope. I hope some of these studios realize that, you know, everybody's formula doesn't work for every studio, and that we're not getting hit over the head with all this stuff.
I agree.
I don't care. All right, and that is the show for today. If you like what you heard and you want more of the canon, give us the ammo by clicking the subscribe button below. I want to thank my partner today, Sal. Sal, where can the people find us?
At Twitter, at The Canon Vlog, or Facebook.com/The Canon.
And I'm your host for today, Terry. And remember, if you heard it here, it's canon. She, well, what's her name? Vanessa, his girlfriend, takes off his mask and he has like a Hugh Jackman cut out. Because then I'm thinking like he had that on the whole time they were fighting.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Like that stuff like that was pretty funny.